Okay, thank you, Rabbi Ginsburg. First, we'll turn to our loyal viewers in Chutz La'aretz. This is from Robin in Los Angeles. And she asks like this: If Adam was created on Friday, why isn't Rosh Hashanah always celebrated on a Friday? Since Rosh Hashanah is the anniversary of the creation of Adam, shouldn't we thus always celebrate this anniversary on Erev Shabbat, meaning Friday?
This is a good question. When Mashiach comes, it could be that we'll have it again. Now, Rosh Hashanah can never, the first day of Rosh Hashanah can never fall on Friday. But the second day of Rosh Hashanah can fall on Friday. The way the Jewish calendar is now, the secret is called Sod HaYibur, the secret of the Jewish calendar. We have to remember Friday. There are very many Jews who have the custom that every day from the 25th of Elul on, the 25th is the first day of creation. They actually read in the Torah what was created on that day. On the 25th of Elul, read the first day. And when they come to the sixth day of creation, which is the first day of Rosh Hashanah, so we read the sixth day of creation, even though it's not the Friday of our week. Once more, when we'll have the moon being sanctified according to sight, then it will be possible that the Rosh Hashanah could fall on Friday. But for many, many good reasons, very good reasons, the way the mathematics of the calendar is arranged, in our time, Rosh Hashanah cannot fall on Friday, but we remember that it's Friday. Again, a Jew, one of the things about a Jew is that he can have two opposite things at the same time. It's called a paradox. He's paradoxical. So it can be Thursday or Shabbat or any other day that Rosh Hashanah falls, and it's also Friday. That's why we read the story of Friday on that day.
Okay, here is an amazing question that applies directly to this shiur. If a woman, and it doesn't say I'm sorry, we don't know who it's from here. It doesn't show up here. If a woman is loyal, why is there an entire tractate called Sota? Why not Soteh? Meaning that a whole tractate is about a suspected unfaithful woman, and it's in the feminine, and this question is asking if women are more loyal by nature, why isn't the tractate called Soteh in the masculine?
So the answer, it's a good question. The answer is in the question itself. Since a woman has the nature of loyalty, that's why it's something very exceptional, something very exceptionally bad if she's not loyal, because her nature is to be loyal. So that's why it's the nature of the man, of the boy, once more, it's according to the Torah, a man can have many wives. It means that he's not, the man in his nature is not so loyal to just one woman, one wife, as is the woman. But now, in the later generations, before Mashiach, it's becoming apparent that a man has to become like a woman. We always speak of the elevation of the woman, but this is an elevation of the man also. In our generation, from Rabbeinu Gershon and on, a man has to assume the same state of loyalty that a woman has. But if a woman transgresses her loyalty, so that's the Sotah. Also, in this tractate of Sotah, that is the tractate, everything that we said today, which are all the different names. We didn't go through all of the 11 names of Miriam. We still have a lot to do. But all of those names is a sugya, a part of the tractate of Sotah.
Obviously, people are watching in Los Angeles. Here's another question from Los Angeles, and it appears this is someone who knows the Rav's teachings because it's inscribed in the question. The 41st day of the year is Rachel's day, meaning that's the day that she passed away. and it's called Mother's Day. The Rav calls Jewish Mother's Day.
Because it's the
Is
41.
Yeah, because mother equals 41, which occurs in Mar Cheshvan. So that's a statement, but here's the question. However, since Noach equals 58, what is the significance of the 58th day of the year, which also occurs in Mar Cheshvan?
That's a loaded question, which we will not. We'll just say that again, it's a loaded question for whoever knows why it's loaded, but many people might know why it's loaded. So, so we'll just say that one of those pairs of names that Miriam has that we discussed before, which she's called Chel'ah, then she becomes Na'ara. At first she was sickly, then she becomes metamorphosized into a young maiden. So the initial letters of that pair is Chen, which is 58, which means grace. To find, there's a whole book which has not yet been published, which is called Shivim Pnei Chen, which are 70 phenomena, 70 most important phenomena throughout the whole Bible, that a pair of words which goes together in the Bible possesses the initial letters of Chen. Chen is just like we read now, Noach matzah chen b'nei Hashem. Actually, Noach is Chen backwards. There's 70 different, in the whole Bible, the word Chen appears 70 times. And there are 70 phenomena of a pair of words or a pair of names whose initials are Chen. And one of them is this pair of Miriam. First that she's Chela, then she becomes Na'ara. So it means there's something about Chen, about 58, which is also has to do with transformation. But we're talking about righteous women. The most important verse of righteous women is at the end of Proverbs, the end of Mishlei, in the chapter which is called Eshet Chayil, the woman of valor. And how does it end? The verse before the end is Sheker Achen Ve'evel Ayofi. That grace, Chen, is false, and beauty is vain. But then it says, Isha Yirat Hashem Hititala, a woman, a God-fearing woman, she shall be praised. And it's interpreted to mean that if she's God-fearing, she should be praised in her true Chen and in her real beauty. Just like the Torah praises the matriarchs in their beauty, and all of other righteous women in their beauty. It is praiseworthy. When is it praiseworthy, the beauty and the grace? When there is the fear, the awe of God in the woman. That's the essence of the goodness of the woman. So we see that Chen itself, the word Chen and grace, itself intrinsically alludes to transformation. The transformation from a negative state of falseness and deceit, deceitful grace, to become true, praiseworthy grace. And there's even a phrase, Chen Chen La, that she has Chen Chen, 2 levels of Chen. So that's why it has to do with this month Chen, because it's the transformation of the Sheker Chen into the false Chen into the true Chen, because of the woman's fear of Hashem.
Okay, another from outside of Israel. No, excuse me. This one is actually written in Hebrew, so I think we assume it's here from Israel. So the question is on the Mashiach. Is it possible that the Mashiach can be a woman? And if so, will she have a husband?
All right, so let's start from the opposite side. If the Mashiach is a man, will he have a wife? If he'll have a wife, the wife will be Mrs. Mashiach. And she'll be more than everything comes from the woman, so that Mashiach will have a wife. there will be what's called the First Lady. The First Lady is better than the First Man. But if Mashiach can be a woman herself, then she'll have a husband. There's a mitzvah, in the Torah, a man has to marry a woman. Also, there's a mitzvah, the Rabbanan, that a woman also has to be married. So she has to be married. Everybody has to be married. Of our 7 prophetesses that we mentioned before, one was served. There was not yet a king in Israel, but she served as the judge of her generation. That the judge is like the king. That means that she was the Mashiach of her generation. Who was that? It was Deborah. She's the third. There's something special about the third. The third of the 7 prophetesses. The first is Sarah, and the second is Miriam, and the third is Deborah. And she was the leader of the generation. It means that she was the Mashiach of the generation. So we see explicitly that the leader can be a woman. It's something exceptional, but it happens. It can happen.
Okay, there are more questions from outside of Israel, but we're only going to take one more so we can have time for people in the audience here in Jerusalem who want to ask. So the last question is from London, and very important question. It says, as you led with Parshat Noach and closed with the Jewish marriage story from the Talmud, where does a B'nai Noach look for guidance in planning a proper wedding ceremony?
I didn't get it. Explain to me.
The person wants to know, because you ended with the story of the woman in the well said, we need to wait because we have to do a marriage in a proper way. Right. So this person is asking, where does a B'nai Noach get guidance as to how they can get married in a proper way?
Okay, so it's a very good, appropriate question. This is one of the most important things that we're trying to teach, about that the time has come in our generation for the Jewish people to reach out to the Gentile world and to teach the Gentile world what the Torah says for them, which simply is the 7 mitzvot B'nai Noach, but the Gentiles themselves, righteous Gentiles, in order to bring Mashiach, the world has to become righteous, the whole world. And it's our task and shlichut to help that happen. And we have to teach people, and even from personal experience, many Gentiles, B'nai Noach, actually asked, give us a wedding ceremony. What should we say from the Tanakh, from the Torah? What should we do? So in one of our books, it's called Meditation for the Nations, we have been very, very short, just the beginning. And if the Gentiles want all to teach them all customs that would be good for them to observe, and even to create a prayer together with a book of laws, which is like a Shulchan Aruch, a Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, a prayer book. A prayer book that obviously has to be written, we have to write explicitly for non-Jews. And in that prayer book, just like in our prayer book, we have the ceremony of the wedding ceremony. So in the non-Jewish prayer book that we have to help compose, also there has to be all of the what happens in a wedding. So we have some things outlined in this respect, but definitely this is a very important challenge of our generation, the challenge to reach out and to teach and to create anew a Shulchan Aruch and a Sidur that is appropriate for non-Jews.
Okay, one more question from Daniel in Norwich, Vermont. I'm going to paraphrase this. First of all, Daniel thanks Rav Ginsburg very much for all of his teachings. And his question is like this: souls return in cycles of rectification. It seems that things do also. Would you kindly comment on how Tzohar Taseh L'Teva reappears, or as it were, reincarnates in our generation?
Well, according to the interpretation of the Baal Shem Tov, it's applicable and appropriate at all times that a person, when we speak, just right now when we're speaking, if I try to put my heart into my words, there's an expression in the Chazal, not to be echad b'peh ve'echad b'lev, not to be one at the level of your mouth and somebody else in your heart. It has to be pi v'libo shavim, that one's mouth and one's heart should be the same, should be equal and together. As we said before, if I put my heart into my words, then I'm putting my precious stone, my tzohar, into my ark. That's the teaching of the Baal Shem Tov. So obviously this teaching is appropriate all the time. It could be that in every generation the heart expresses itself in a way which is fitting for the times, as even the first Rebbe of Chabad would say that we have to live with the times. So emotion itself evolves, but whatever is now the present state of evolution of the heart, the one who's most sensitive to the heart, this is also a very important point, the most sensitive person to the heart of the generation is the king. That's even a definition of the king, that the king is called Lev Kol Yisrael, is the heart of Israel. In Sefer Kuzari it says that Israel is the heart of the nations. And within the people of Israel, the king is the heart of Israel, means that he's sensitive to the emotion, just like it says that every generation has a special mitzvah. Like the Noam Melech, one of the great Hasidic sages, said that the mitzvah of the generation is tzitzit. So just like even we have to do all the mitzvot, but there's some very special mitzvah that the person has to be very into. So the same is true of the heart. The heart is full of emotions. Emotion is like a hue, like a color. And every generation has its color, has its emotion. And the one that's sensitive to that emotion is the king. He's a true king is the one that's most sensitive. He teaches, he expresses that emotion. And when you pick up that emotion, like that color, that's the color of the stone in the breastplate of the high priest. There are 12 stones. The thing that differentiated between the stones was the color. Every stone was a different color. It represented a different tribe of Israel. And once more, every generation has its precious stone and its color. And the king picks it up and he conveys it to the whole generation. And that emotion we have to put into our words when we speak. And then it's heartfelt words that come out of my heart and go into your heart, and from your heart into my heart. And that's the way that we connect to one another. And when the Jewish people is connected through words that have emotion in the words, that's the vessel to receive the light of the redemption.
Okay, due to time constraints, we'll now take a few questions from the crowd here in Israel. I would just ask anyone asking to keep your question short, because I'm going to have to repeat it so the people watching outside of this room know what the question is.
How do you think Judaism is going to evolve in this next generation? Because I feel like this generation of, there's so many lost Jews who have no idea, they can't tell the difference between the Aleph and the base. How do you think Judaism is going to evolve?
Just in case people didn't hear it, the question here is, since the Rav was talking about how Tzor Taseh Lateva applies to our generation, so the question is how does the Rav think this generation is going to evolve when there are so many people who are so far away and don't even know an aleph from a beit?
Okay, so the first question is, how did you get here today?
Complete Baal Teshuva. I was in an American college. I had a pretty traumatic experience, and I came back to Judaism. Hashem landed me back in the city of my ancestors, Jerusalem.
Okay, so now you have to go out and find all people that are related to your soul root. Everybody here, we're all one tree. Tree has branches, and every branch has more branches. Everybody has other souls that are related to his soul. Your mission in life is to find all of those people and to bring them back to your branch, and then from your branch to the bigger branch, and to the trunk of the tree. And that's the way that if we all think that this is a common responsibility, nobody can do it by himself. We all have to join together to bring the people back, to bring our people back, and to bring the whole world back. Knowing once more that everyone has souls that are like his cousins. You have a lot of cousins. You just have to try to find them and bring them all back.
Okay, we'll take from this side.
Why did Noah deserve such a terrible punishment that he gathered all of the animals 2 by 2 for the purpose that when they would leave the ark, they would procreate? And yet his punishment was, personally, he wouldn't be able to have more children. Why did he deserve such a punishment like that?
Okay, so the question is, since Noah was given the task to gather all of the animals, as they say, 2 by 2, so they could procreate and continue the world, why was it that after the flood, Noah himself found himself in a situation that he no longer could have children?
Okay, first of all, the Torah says something special about Noah, that he only bare his 3 children beginning at the age of 500. Much, much, much later than all of the previous generations. And it says that God stopped him from being able to procreate in order that he wouldn't have, this is Rashi quotes, wouldn't have to make many arks to have too many children. So he had his 3 children, each of them were married. And all of the 3 children with their wives, and he with his wives, they all entered the ark. When he came out of the ark, it's not that God didn't want him to continue to procreate. As far as God was for it. It's just that's the story that the Torah tells, that there was a sin. That his very own son, Ham, said that Adam had only 2 children, and they fought over the inheritance of the world, and one killed the other. And now you have 3 children, you want even to have more children. So what did he have? What did he do? What did Ham do? He said, one of the interpretations, he actually castrated his father. God from having more children. So that was, and he was punished. What was the punishment? The punishment was that his own son Canaan was cursed. Because Canaan was the one that told his father, Ham, that his father was now naked in the tent. So Canaan was cursed to be a slave. But from the whole essence of the story, it's as though God would have liked for Noah himself to have more children. He was pretty old. He was already over 600. So even naturally, to have children at the age of 600 is something. So the fact that they had children, why did they have children at the age of 500? Because 500 equals pru'arvu. The words pru'arvu, be fruitful and multiply. The mitzvah to have children is 500. The only one that fulfilled that in the simplest way was Noah, that he waited until he was equal purvu to do the mitzvah, to be mekayem, to observe the mitzvah of purvu. But now he's already 100 years later. He was 600. So a pretty old man. So, but nonetheless, he still could have had more children had not Cham castrated him. That's what the Chazal say.
Okay, the powers that be have said 2 more questions, and this young man has had his hand up for a long time.
Thank you. Rabbi Ginsburg, thank
Yes.
you very much for your share. This question actually follows on the tail of the last question from the internet submissions. You mentioned earlier in your talk that speaking from the heart not only changes reality, but actually rectifies something within the person. I was wondering if you could elaborate a little on that.
Okay, the question is, following up on words from the heart, is how exactly do words that come from the heart help to heal and help to rectify? The person speaking, let alone the people receiving. But how does it affect the person who's speaking?
There's a deep secret in Kabbalah which is called the union or the mating, the zivug of kol v'dibur, which is voice and words. Voice is the power, the very power to take out emotion from the heart and to put it into the words. That's called voice. Kol. Voice is not yet letters. It's before letters. It's just the voice that comes from the heart into the mouth. That power of the voice to connect the heart to the words is called the power of Yaakov. The words itself are Rachel. Before we talked about Rachel, that this Shabbos, this coming Shabbos, is the Orthet of Rachel Imenu. The 41st day of the year. 41 equals Aim, but that's why we call it the Jewish Mother's Day. Rachel is the spoken word. The voice that comes from the heart is Jacob. So actually, when you or I or any one of us speaks from the heart, we are creating this union of this zivug of Yaakov and Rachel. And that's a rectification within ourselves. Through that rectification within myself of the Yaakov coming from the heart. It's an emotion of Yaakov. In the heart itself, the aura, where he's coming, where is the voice coming from? It's coming from, in particular, the emotion of compassion. Because Yaakov is compassion, is Rachamim. So Yaakov is coming from compassion, we'll call it the vector force that takes the compassion out of the heart and brings it into the word is the voice. Hakol kol Yaakov, the voice is the voice of Yaakov. And then it unites with Rachel, that Rachel is in the mouth. What does that give birth to? And if there's any rectification, any good deed, it says, we learned from the beginning of Parashat Noach, that the progeny of tzaddikim are their good deeds, as Rashi brings. Meaning that if something happens inside myself, it must give birth to something. What does it give birth to? It gives birth just like the union of Jacob and Rachel. It gives birth first to Joseph, to Yosef, and then to Benjamin. So we have to explain what that means. One of the things about Joseph, is that he is the power, this has to do with the question was answered before, the power to bring back people, what's called outreach, to reach out and to bring back lost souls. Yosef means to add. Yosef Hashem li ben Acher is read that he has the power to find a lost soul and to bring him back. So it means that if I do this union in myself, this matching of Jacob and Rachel, my heart and my word through the voice, that gives birth. Sometimes it takes a long time. It took Rachel a long time before she was barren. But if I am loyal, if we're both loyal to one another, the heart and the mouth, then at a certain point that will give birth to Joseph. And Joseph, that's that power that I have to bring back people, to bring back lost, to find lost souls and to bring back lost souls. And Binyamin, the second son, was actually Rachel had the very same day, which is Rachel's yahrzeit, is Binyamin's birthday, because it happened at the same time. Binyamin is the arousal from below of the Jewish people. I mean, that I'll have myself, I'll give birth in myself to a potency of finding and bringing back lost souls. And also, something will happen that the Jewish people, this has to happen also in answer to the question that was asked before, something spontaneous that doesn't come directly from me. The Jewish people have to become aroused. It's called the feminine arousal from below. That's Benjamin. So both Joseph and Benjamin will be born from the inner union of Jacob and Rachel, which is the heart and the word through the voice.
It seems that our time is up. That's the message I am getting. I want to take the opportunity to thank everyone who came to the class here in Yerushalayim, everyone who tuned in literally around the world. I want to remind everyone, in case you tuned in a little bit late, that this class will be on the first Sunday of every month of the Gregorian calendar instead of the last Sunday. I'm reminding everyone.
Do you know the date of the coming month?
We're going to look at the date already for the next one, so we can announce it. It will be Sunday, December 4th. Sunday, December 4th. You can already mark your calendars.
Jewish day for people that don't know the Gregorian.
And the Jewish date is, he's still looking. And I'm reminding everyone that this is the special book of the month, 913, the Gematria of Bereshit, the secret wisdom of Genesis. It's on special sale. All the books of Rav Ginsburg are on the website, inner.org. Daled Kislev. So it's Daled Kislev and the 4th of December. We're in sync here. I want to take the initiative here that the last thing the Rav spoke about was reaching out, bringing people closer. So we'll take this opportunity to urge everyone who came to the shiur here and who tuned in. You have a great opportunity to tell other people about this class, about the website, about the books, and the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of videos that you can access on the website. So this is everyone's opportunity to do some outreach and bring more people in. And of course, we want to thank Rav Ginsburg for Tzohar Ta'aseh L'Teva, that the words of Torah that we heard tonight truly illuminated our souls.